Two different assessments you can do for mobility in your feet and ankles. So the first one you're going to do, you're going to stand with your toes 2 inches away from the wall, and you're going to fall forward. You're not going to push your weight forward. You're just going to fall forward here. And what you want to see is how easily you can touch that wall with your front knee. Now, if you have sufficient mobility in your feet and your ankles, you will have no problem leaning forward. And again, I'm not pushing with my back leg, I'm just falling forward. You'll have no problem touching that wall with your knee. If you see any compensation in your feet or your ankles, your legs, that indicates mobility issues. So for me, I have horrible mobility in my feet and my ankles. When I try and lean forward, look what I'm doing here. My heel actually lifts up. When I lean forward, look, it is super tight and I get some twisting. My knee starts to buckle. It doesn't track nicely over my toes like this would be optimal. That knee goes in. So that indicates a mobility issue. Okay, now with the second assessment, to pass this assessment, you want to be able to lift your big toe without moving any of the other parts of your foot. If there's a compensation, like if your other toes start moving or your foot twists or anything like that, that indicates, again, mobility issues in this area. So for me, I try and lift that big toe. I find it impossible to lift. I don't know if you can see, watch my ankle here. It's kind of moving. It's really hard for me to lift that big toe without, now my other toes are moving. My ankle is not stable. So now I know that I'm a mess. So let's work on this. When you have mobility issues, let me explain this to you. Picture a bone and a muscle on either side. Okay, when your muscles are in balance, there'll be symmetry between both sides, both muscle groups. When you have a muscle imbalance, what happens is one side is tight and you get this pulling, right? And then the other side is weakened. Commonly what people will do is they'll think, okay, I have this tight muscle, so I'm just gonna stretch that muscle, right? It's just too tight, so I need to stretch it. But what happens is that muscle resists stretch. So you stretch it and then it's just gonna go back. It's just gonna keep going back. And this muscle is weak because it's been in this chronically overstretched, inactive position. So it's not strong enough to pull that other muscle back into alignment. So there's a 4-step process for fixing this. And you're going to address the muscles that are too tight as well as the muscles that are weak. So with the assessment I just showed you, the back of my leg, those muscles are overactive, they're really tight. And the front of my lower leg, those muscles are weakened, they're underactive. So what you're gonna do is, first of all, you're gonna inhibit the overactive muscles, the tight muscles. You're gonna use a foam roller, massage ball, something like this. You can get these on Amazon. Now with these, go as soft as you can to start. You can get these in different densities and some of them are really hard and knobbly. If you go too hard with these, you can cause tissue damage. You can damage your tissue. Also with these, not everyone should use these. Again, check with your healthcare provider. You shouldn't be using this over varicose veins. If you're pregnant, you really need to find out if it's safe to use. If you have uncontrolled hypertension, don't use this. There's a lot of contraindications with these things and a lot of precaution. The tight muscles on the back of my leg, I want to inhibit the overactivity in the muscle. So what you want to do is for like 30 to 60 seconds. If you're short on time, 30 seconds is sufficient, but you want to roll along the back of that leg on all the tight spots. So I just kind of lift my weight up and I'm gonna roll along and find, oh yeah, there's more on the outside there. Find the tight spots and you're just gonna slowly roll over them. Now when you're done doing this, you're done inhibiting the overactivity in that muscle. That's when you want to stretch. If you just stretch right away, you can increase your range of motion and all of that, but if you inhibit first with a foam roller, then it's gonna get you the best results. So next what you're gonna do is you're gonna stretch the back of your leg, the calf muscle, so you can do 2 different stretches. So I'm stretching back here, pushing down through your heel like that, or you can stretch a slightly different part of that muscle group. You just bend your knee like that. So you do stretches like that right after you have inhibited the muscle with the foam roller. And then the third step, you need to strengthen, remember your weakened muscles here, you need to strengthen those muscles. So the muscles on the front of your leg, you need to strengthen those. A fun little activity you can do where you don't need any equipment. You're gonna lift up your toes and you're gonna do heel walking. You're gonna walk on your heels. And this is awesome for strengthening the front of your leg. I feel like a goof and yeah, I'm losing my pants. 20 steps or so is sufficient. You can do more if you have time. So that's how you strengthen the front of your leg. And then the last thing you want to do is an integrative exercise where you're getting all of those muscles front and back of your leg to work together effectively and functionally. An exercise that you can do for this, it's really simple and effective. It's a balance exercise. So you balance on one leg. You're just going to do a slow reach with the other foot. You're going to reach forward and then to the side. And you're trying to keep your balance here. So this really works the front, the back, every aspect of your ankle and your foot. And just do this for 10 cycles. And that's going to integrate the functioning, basically get all of those muscles to work together effectively. So that's how you correct mobility issues in your ankles and your feet. Happy training, and I will see you next week.